Welcome, everybody. This is Terry Palma, and my co-host, Bev Thompson, is on the phone. You're joining us on Conscious Gatherers, and this is our weekly broadcast at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, and anybody is welcome to come in. If you do come in while we're here, please hit *6 and mute yourself. We will have a time later in the show where you'll be able to unmute yourself and ask questions. So again, my name is Terry Palma. My co-host is Bev Thompson, and we're here to kind of share what we believe is going on at this time, exciting things that are going on here consciously, and we would like to give tools, give insights, and just share what we have learned over the time. Bev, are you there?
Yes, welcome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Welcome, everybody. And Terry and I are talking about a little bit more about ourselves just for a moment because we really haven't said too much about that. Terry mostly in the first episode, and me and my books that I've written called Mystery of the Universes. One thing we said, I think of last week's broadcast, is if anybody wanted to have a session with either Terry or myself, and there was a phone number to call. And we never really explained what that means. So for me, since I'm speaking now, I do intuitive counseling and readings, whatever you want to call it. I call it intuitive counseling and energy work. So if anybody is interested in that, please let me know, and we're going to give you a phone number shortly. So, Terry, can you tell us a little bit more about you and what you do?
Well, my background is in psychology and counseling and guidance. I have 3 master's degrees, one in ed psych, one in psych, and one in counseling and guidance, and I have a doctorate in metaphysics. And I also am a licensed hypnotherapist. So my counseling revolves around consciousness and helping you with emotional triggers and simple and easy techniques in which to relieve those emotional triggers and throw away the baggage that we're carrying with us. So I have sessions on those. I can do them in person here. I can do them over the phone. So Bev just said there's a number. I'll give you a number to call. And if you want to set up a session with either of us, you simply call this number, leave your name and phone number, and the person you want, either Bev or myself, to call you back. That number is 864-999-3008. Again, 864-999-3008. All right, good. So let's get into the meat of today's episode. Bev, I'm going to let you start it off, and then I'll follow up. How's that?
Perfect. All right. I want to continue more of what we were talking about last week and taking it a little bit further. And I want to start out with energy of the heart. Last week we had talked about the portal of the heart, where the center where our frequencies enter our body, and they're absorbed and distributed, absorbed through the heart into the body, and that our brain is more like a computer. It's the best way for me to explain it. It's where it's been explained to me. And I had mentioned that our heart is really our mission control. So I like those words, and sticking with them for now. So to carry that a little bit further, a lot of people are feeling a little uncomfortable with that at this time, and that is really why things are, the energies are increasing, what we call energies or frequencies, and we're feeling it in our bodies, and it affects us on an emotional, a physical, and mental ways. And I don't know about you all, but on Saturday, it hit me for a few hours, and it was like I was walking around, and I was with family. But I could feel something was going on, and I had found out later, indeed, that was correct. And some other people were more lashing out. Other ones were felt spacey. That's the best way I can explain it. So, Terry, I don't know if you noticed on Saturday, the energies seem to be amped up a little bit. That's a terminology that we use because of the bombardment of frequencies hitting the Earth at this time.
Yeah, Bev, you're more sensitive to those things than I am. I kind of dial into what's going on personally, and when things come up, I always go inside and deal with those things. And like I shared last week with the heart math stuff, moving from the head to the heart, because in the head, you can't deal with anything in the head because the tapes are running, and those are old emotional triggers. Those are things that happen to you, and what's in there, the amygdala remembers all that, and when you experience something that triggers that, all of those things start running those tapes, and it's very difficult and challenging to try and move forward and relieve those if you're stuck in the tapes and running your head. That's why we use that technique of freeze frame to move into the heart. And again, Heart Math, which is an institution, heartmath.org, scientifically has shown that the heart has its own intelligence, and that when it communicates back and forth through the neurotransmissions with the brain, the heart will evaluate what the brain sends to you and decide whether it wants to follow it, and vice versa. The communication that the heart sends to the brain always follows. So that's why we emphasize going into the heart. So when those, like what you said, energies are ramping up or stuff, if I feel that, then I know something's going on, and I go into my heart, and I go through freeze frame, and I ask the question, what's best to deal with this for me individually? Because I know, and we'll get into this later, whatever's going on in my universe is going on everywhere, because I created my universe. I created the people in my universe, and everything that's happening in my universe, I'm responsible for. I take 100% responsibility. Therefore, I need to go in and work and see how is best to deal with that. And once I do, I know the whole is getting taken care of also. That was kind of a long answer, I think, to your question, but I hope it made sense.
I love it. And by the way, those listening, Terry and I talk a little bit, but I tell you what, matter of just a few minutes about what we're going to talk about, and it just naturally flows. So it's really interesting, the interface that we have, because it's really not planned. I put that in quotation marks about exactly what we're going to talk about. It's general, and then whatever comes up, and then we share with you. So it's really pretty cool how this works out. All right, I'm going to take it a little bit more in the human, what I term the human form, and situations that cause us discomfort. And you had mentioned that in your freeze frame tools that you can use. But now I don't know if the word "but." When you're looking at your discomfort, is it really important? And, if it bugs you or bothers you, sure, it's important. Heck yes. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there for you to take a look at. So, what I'm suggesting is to look at the situation from different sides. And when you're staying in that heart center, then you'll begin to not react to many situations, be it family or world or whatever. So it's something to think about. I guess it's, especially with family, I see it, or there's going to be finger pointing, or, I'm this way because of this, and you're getting into that victim consciousness. And it's like, well, wait a minute, do you know what that other person has gone through, not only in this life, but in other lives? So it's to understand that and not be judgmental. When you're in the heart, you get out of that judgmental stage. If that makes sense. You may be in there, then you get in the heart. You may be judgmental, but when you go in the heart, then that starts receding, because then you're starting to hear the answer within, because everything is within you. So remember, again, we've lived many lives and talking about the old programs that Terry was talking about earlier without going into any of the programs per se. But we've lived many, many lives on the earth, and we've carried a lot of these thoughts and feelings from one lifetime to another. And then we feel other people's energies. And you ask the question, is this really mine? Is this, from other aspects of me, other lives? And when you start understanding where it's coming from, then it's easier to release those old programs. So, do you have any comments on that, Terry?
Yes. It's interesting that, like I said before, in my studies in consciousness, we tend to think that our conscious mind is the ruling, controlling factor in our daily lives, and in fact, it's not at all. It runs maybe 5% of the time, where our subconscious mind is in control 95% of the time. So to try and deal with something consciously when you're running the tapes is, like I said, a challenge. And if you can move to your heart, and you mentioned judgment, Bev, and I think, I don't remember if I spoke about this in our previous sessions, but I believe I did. I know you and I have talked about it, but there are 3 injunctions that I learned a long time ago, and if any of these, one of these 3 conjunctions come up, then it's time to go to the heart and ask the question, what in me is causing this to happen? And those 3 injunctions are: make no comparisons, make no judgments, and delete your need to understand. So if any of those 3 come up, like you mentioned, judgment, if I notice I'm judging somebody or judging anything, then it's time to go into the heart and say, what in me is causing me to judge that? And just be silent and wait for the answer. And later I'll teach you how to get rid of that, how to release that. It's a very simple thing, actually, and we'll deal with that some night. But that helps a lot. And it's easy to recognize. I mean, we all, Bev, I know I still make judgments. I still compare. I do all of those. I'm here in the physical world. But I have a tool to help me when I see those or they come up. I can go and answer that and hopefully release that so that same thing doesn't come up again, that I can let it go, and hopefully will grow from that. All right. I hope that made sense.
It does. Okay. Thank you. We continue. I speak for myself. I continue to judge, then I back up from it. And then I'm not so attached, and so I don't get so worked up about what's going on. Now, I find I do that more with my kids, with family, and or if I feel there's an injustice there, then I kind of go back and well, wait a minute. However, I realize that's something for them to go through, and it's none of my business to get them to interfere. Because when you interfere, do you really want to jump in with them and feel what they're feeling? Is that helping you? How does that serve you? So those are words I've used. Does this really serve me? Do I really want to do this or don't I? So my questions that I use all the time, and then I'll say, not really. I may listen to somebody for what they're going through, but to hear the same story over and over and over again gets pretty tiring, and I don't want to hear it anymore. It's either, get on with it. Do something about it. If there's an issue, get on with it. And you can support that person to assist them, and then let them, it's their responsibility to do what needs to be done. So everything is personal, your own personal responsibility.
You mentioned something about, hearing something, which means someone had spoke something, okay? But I'd like to kind of interject something of our language system that we use. We tend, like I said, we tend to operate 95% of the time in the subconscious, and the subconscious tends to we're using language that is what actually Robert Stevens, who was a teacher of mine, coined these words and stuff, the language of self-sabotage. And we're constantly using that language, and we could choose to upgrade our language. Let me give you an example of a few of the phrases that are that the subconscious takes literal, and so we're basically self-sabotaging ourselves because we're telling our subconscious we don't want to, basically. So I want, I need, I should, I hope, I must, I have to, I can't, I don't know, it's hard. These are self-sabotaging phrases and words, because when I say I want, you're telling the subconscious that you don't want to have, because want means to desire, and if that's what you want, you're going to tell the subconscious to keep desiring it, to never have it. All right? Same thing with I need. Well, what do you need? I hope. I must. I must is a compulsion. Why do you have to have, a compulsion? Now, to upgrade those, the upgrade to those things are I can, I am, I will, I choose, I have, I love, I create, I enjoy. So when I say I can, that's the first statement of self-awareness. Excuse me. I can is the doorway to self-permission. I am is the statement of self-awareness. Whereas I will is the statement of the use of divine will. I will as my Creator wills. To choose, I choose, is the first act of divine will. I have a statement of ownership. I love is a statement of source quality. That's what I'm giving. I create as a doorway to self-creation. And I enjoy is the consciousness of completion and conscious creation. So I encourage all of us to watch the language we're using. If it appears to be a self-sabotage, upgrade it. I can't to I choose. It's hard. It's difficult. I choose to make it easy. I catch myself all the time saying, oh, I can't. And I go, cancel, clear that. I choose to remember, especially if something I'm looking for or something I'm trying to recall in consciousness, like a name. I'm getting older, and sometimes it appears to be a little bit challenging to recall stuff. So when that happens, I go to the phrase, I choose to remember, and then I let it go. And sure enough, it'll pop into my mind 5 to 10 minutes away, because my subconscious knows everything. It never forgets anything. So
what you're also saying, Terry, and we'll get into this another time, is this self-awareness that we're going through, and the ascension process, whatever words you want to use, is what has been in the subconscious is becoming more conscious, and we're using that. So I'll put that out, and we can discuss that further.
Yeah, I mean, consciousness. Really, there's three basic in my school of thought, and what I've been taught is in the mind. There's three aspects of consciousness. I guess you could say four. Four is 0 point. Number one is 0 point, where you're in complete harmony with divinity, where you're inspired and divine inspiration comes to you. Well, if you're not there, then you're in the subconscious and tapes are running. Okay? And the conscious mind is really there for only one purpose, to make choices. Do I put cheese on my hamburger, or do I have a chicken sandwich? That's what the conscious mind's for. It thinks it's in control. That's why that injunction, delete your need to understand, because your consciousness was trying to understand, and it never will be, because you have to be at zero limits and let inspiration come to you, because in this realm, we're not going to understand anything. It has to come from divinity. If it doesn't come from divine, you're running tapes from the subconscious. Now, I'm sure that There are people that don't agree with that, and I probably am wrong. But that's how I operate and live and have been taught. And to me, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's a choice of language. I feel we're all divine, and that's one thing I was told. You are divine. You can be no less. So we're all a part of the one, part of Creator.
That's what we are. At essence, we are all a divine being, and we are all have put a shadow over that, and we've let ego come in because we wanted to experience self as opposed to the oneness. And that's where all the issues have come in. But underneath everything, everybody is divine, has always been divine, and has never left divinity.
Yeah, correct. Well, do you want to open the lines for any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're right at that hour. So if you've muted yourself and you want to have a question, hit *6 to unmute and ask away. Well, I guess either there are no questions. We've done such a great job here of defining what we were talking tonight, and everybody understands it. So unless there aren't any questions, I guess we'll end this session. Unless, Bev, you got something to add here?
No, I think that's we covered quite a bit, and we can go further into what we're talking about, the conscious, subconscious minds, the divinity,
right.
A little bit more of what all that means. So
I would like to mention one thing, Bev.
Go ahead.
We might be changing our format and moving forward. We're not sure when that will be. We'll give you plenty of notice. But we will have, we now are going to start a program, actually a TV program on Roku, so we'll be able to stream what we're doing, and you'll be able to bring it into your TV or any device you wish to. We're moving forward on that. I don't know how soon that will be, but that's another option that's happening that we've just negotiated and finalized this last week. So that will be happening sometime soon. But we'll keep you abreast of what that is.
Okay.
If there's no one else,
by the way, Roku is. Go ahead.
Say that again.
Roku, and you can, if I'm
Roku,
correct on all this, it's ROQU.
Yeah,
and
you'll be able to find our channel. Our channel will be called the TAZ TV, the Alliance Zone. That's our channel name. That I've negotiated, we're partnering with, and our program will be called Conscious Gatherers. So we'll have a show on the Alliance Zone channel. That's the channel that will be on. Then that channel will be on Roku, but actually soon it will be streaming on all of them, Amazon, Fire Stick, you name them, and you'll be able to find that channel on all of them. And so we're very excited about that. Again, I'm not sure how soon that'll happen, but we're looking forward to that. If there's nothing else, nobody questions, Bev, I think that's it for this week. I want to thank you, our listeners. I want to thank you, Bev, for taking the time every week and working with me on this. I know that you love it, I love it, and we, it's an act of love and giving because, we believe in the phrase givers gain, and that's what we're here to do is give what we have and share what we have, and we're hoping that you'll share with us your thoughts and everything. So until next week, I'm going to sign off. Bev, you have the last minute?
Thank you, and I'm going to use this each time because I like it, and that's peace internal, peace out.
Thank you, one and all. Treat everybody kindly. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye.